Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the window of Lunar Command, her weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as she watched Earth rise over the horizon. 20 years of preparing for this moment, and somehow it still felt too soon. Multiple anomalies detected at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Energy signatures match the patterns we've been monitoring. They're here. The room hushed as dozens of objects materialized in a flash of quantum displacement. Their designs were organic, almost crystalline, nothing like the militant vessels humanity had expected. More importantly, they were damaged. Badly. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Communications Officer Park reported. It's a distress signal. Chen's eyes narrowed. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. According to their long-range monitoring of the galaxy, Earth should have had another decade before any advanced civilizations reached their space. But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. "Show me," she ordered. The main display lit up with a cascade of visual data. The alien vessels were bleeding plasma, their crystalline hulls fractured and scoring marks that could only be weapons fire. But what caught Chen's attention was the mathematical sequence embedded in their transmission, a universal language of desperation. "Get me the Security Council," Chen commanded, "and wake up the Legion. All of them." Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, in bunkers that officially didn't exist, 10,000 quantum-enhanced soldiers stirred from their cryopods. In hangars hidden inside hollow mountains and beneath desert sands, experimental ships powered up their impossible drives. And in laboratories scattered across Earth's surface, scientists and engineers prepared to reveal technological advances that would shatter the galaxy's understanding of human capability. The aliens' message finally decoded. "Sanctuary, please. They're coming." "Who's coming?" Chen muttered, though she already suspected the answer. The patterns matched too perfectly with the fragments they'd intercepted over the years. Her question was answered as new signatures appeared at the edge of their sensors. These ships were different, angular, aggressive, moving with the precision of a hive mind. Their energy readings were off the charts, suggesting weapons that could crack planets. "Multiple hostile contacts," Rodriguez reported. "They're charging weapons." Chen straightened her uniform. This wasn't how humanity had planned to reveal itself to the galaxy, but plans rarely survived first contact with reality. "Initiate Protocol Lazarus, and get me a direct channel to our guests." The response came instantly, a visual transmission showing a being that seemed to be made of living crystal and light. Its features were alien, but the fear in its multifaceted eyes was universal. "You must flee," it transmitted. "The swarm cannot be stopped. They've consumed half the galaxy. Your weapons will be useless." A small smile played across Chen's lips. "Actually," she said, "we'd like to test that theory." She opened a secure channel to all Earth defense installations. "This is Admiral Chen. Implementation of the Lazarus Protocol is now in effect. All units, execute your assignments. Welcome to the war, people." Across the solar system, humanity's carefully hidden teeth began to show. Cloaking fields dissolved, revealing orbital platforms that shouldn't exist. The moon's dark side lit up as hidden shipyards activated. And from Earth's oceans rose vessels that defied conventional physics, their hulls rippling with quantum fields that made them seem more like living shadows than machines. The crystalline alien's transmission stuttered with shock. "Impossible. Your species, our data indicated you were pre-space flight. Primitive." "Yeah," Chen smiled. "We get that a lot. Now let's show these swarm bastards why it's a bad idea to chase refugees into human space." The first wave of swarm ships entered weapons range, their energy weapons powering up for what they clearly expected to be an easy conquest. They had no way of knowing they'd just stumbled into the most elaborately prepared ambush in human history. "All ships," Chen commanded, "execute Operation Kingbreaker. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do." As the battle began, Chen reflected on the irony. Humanity had spent decades preparing for first contact, hiding their true capabilities, playing the role of primitive survivors on a backwater world. They'd expected to reveal themselves on their own terms when the time was right. Instead, they were about to announce their presence to the galaxy by saving it. Multiple swarm vessels launching attack vectors, Rodriguez reported. Chen nodded. Release the Phantoms. All ships, weapons free. Welcome to Earth, you bastards. The battle that followed would change the galaxy forever. Humanity had arrived late to the galactic stage, but they'd spent that time preparing. And now, the galaxy was about to learn why. The swarm's first volley of plasma torpedoes never reached their targets. They simply vanished, consumed by what appeared to be patches of darker-than-black space that rippled like oil on water. Void shields functioning at optimal levels, Rodriguez reported, her augmented eyes tracking multiple battle displays simultaneously. The swarm is confused. In the command center, Admiral Chen watched as humanity's true military capability revealed itself. The refugee ships had been pulled behind Earth's defensive line, their crystalline crews watching in stunned silence as their pursuers faced something entirely unprecedented. They're attempting to adapt their attack pattern, Strategic AI Winston announced, its holographic form flickering beside Chen. Probability suggests they will attempt to phase shift their weapons to bypass our void shields in approximately 30 seconds. Chen nodded. Just as we predicted. Signal the Ghost Fleet. Execute Operation Checkmate. From the dark side of Mars, a new wave of human ships emerge. Unlike the defensive platforms with their void shields, these vessels were different. They looked almost organic, their hulls flowing like liquid mercury, studded with what appeared to be crystalline growths that pulsed with internal light. Ghost Fleet reporting ready. Commander Jackson's voice crackled through the quantum comm. Permission to demonstrate why humanity spent 50 years playing possum. Granted, Chen smiled. Show them what we can do. The Ghost Fleet moved in ways that violated normal physics, their quantum drives allowing them to appear to be in multiple places simultaneously. As the swarm's weapons phase shifted, attempting to bypass conventional defenses, they found themselves firing at ships that existed in multiple quantum states at once. Fascinating, the crystalline refugee leader, who had introduced itself as Nexus, commented from its position in the command center. Your vessels appear to operate on principles similar to our own quantum technology, yet different. We call it quantum superposition drive, Chen explained, watching as the Ghost Fleet danced through the swarm's formation. While studying the galaxy's transmissions, we noticed most advanced races developed quantum technology focused on penetrating or phasing through matter. We went the opposite direction. On the tactical display, the battle was turning into chaos, at least for the swarm. Their perfectly coordinated attack patterns were falling apart as they encountered ships that could exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously. Target lock impossible. The swarm's transmission echoed through intercepted channels. Enemy vessels violating causality. Strategy adjustment required. Now for Phase 2, Chen commanded. Deploy the Dreamcatchers. From Earth's upper atmosphere, a new type of vessel emerged. These were smaller, faster, their hulls covered in intricate patterns that seemed to hurt the eyes if you looked at them too long. Your species, Nexus observed, its crystalline form shimmering with what might have been excitement. You developed quantum technology not for weapons, but for perception itself. Chen nodded. We figured everyone would focus on using quantum mechanics to affect physical reality. We decided to use it to alter the nature of observation instead. After all, in quantum mechanics, the observer affects the observed. The Dreamcatchers accelerated toward the swarm fleet, their reality warping fields activating. Suddenly, the swarm ships began firing at targets that weren't there, their highly coordinated fleet-breaking formation to chase phantom enemies. Their hive mind, Nexus realized, you're not attacking their ships at all. You're attacking their perception of reality itself. Humans have a saying, Chen replied, watching as the swarm fleet began to tear itself apart in confusion. The mind is the greatest weapon. We just took that concept to its logical conclusion. The battle was turning into a rout. The swarm, faced with technology that didn't just defy their expectations, but operated on principles they'd never considered, was falling into disarray. Ships designed to function as part of a perfect whole were now acting independently, their crew unable to trust their own sensors or even their shared consciousness. Signal from the swarm flagship, Rodriguez announced. They're retreating. Not yet, they're not. Chen's voice hardened. Launch the mimetic warheads. Let's make sure they take a message back to their collective. From the Ghost Fleet, small projectiles launched toward the retreating swarm ships. They weren't explosives or conventional weapons. They were something far more insidious. Quantum-encoded information packets designed to infect and alter the very nature of the swarm's shared consciousness. What message are you sending them? Nexus asked, watching as the warheads impacted the swarm ships. Ken's smile was grim. The concept of fear, the understanding of death. The idea that some enemies can't be consumed or understood. They can only be fled from. Let's see how their hive mind handles those concepts. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The swarm fleet's retreat turned into a rout, ships practically falling over each other to escape the solar system. Should we pursue? Rodriguez asked. Chen shook her head. No need. They'll spread what we planted through their entire collective. The next time they think about attacking Earth, those concepts will surface again. She turned to Nexus. Now, I believe we have some things to discuss about the state of the galaxy. Nexus's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been hope. You've hidden your true nature from the galaxy for so long. Why reveal yourselves now? Because, Chen replied, watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon. Sometimes the best weapon isn't the one you use. It's the one you keep hidden until exactly the right moment. And now, the galaxy needs to understand that humanity isn't just ready for the stars. We've been preparing for this moment all along. Deep within Luna Command's strategic center, a gathering unprecedented in human history was taking place. Representatives from 17 different alien civilizations sat around a holographic table, their forms ranging from crystalline to energy-based to purely mechanical. At the head of the table, Admiral Chen stood before a projection of the known galaxy, where vast swathes of space glowed red, territory already consumed by the swarm. Your victory was impressive. The mechanical entity known as Prime Cognitor buzzed, its optical sensors analyzing the battle data from Earth's defense. But the swarm will adapt. They always adapt. That's exactly what we're counting on, Chen replied, gesturing to Dr. Maya Santos, Earth's lead quantum theorist. The young scientist stepped forward, her neural implants glowing softly as she interfaced with the room's holographic systems. The swarm's greatest strength is their ability to learn and adapt, Santos explained, bringing up complex quantum formulae that made even the advanced alien representatives pause. But there's something none of you have considered. Adaptation itself can be a weakness. The crystalline form of Nexus shifted colors in what had been explained as their species' version of confusion. Elaborate. Santos smiled, manipulating the holographic display to show the quantum structure of the swarm's hive mind. Every time the swarm adapts, they alter their fundamental quantum structure to incorporate new information. We didn't just defeat them in that battle, we forced them to adapt in a very specific way. The mimetic warheads, Prime Cognitor's lights flickered in realization. They weren't just weapons. They were the first stage of infection. Chen finished. Every adaptation they make from now on will carry traces of the quantum patterns we introduced. They're not just learning fear, they're becoming more like us with every change they make. The energy being known as Zephyra pulsed with concern. You're attempting to alter the fundamental nature of a galaxy-spanning hive mind. The complexity alone is exactly why it will work, Santos interrupted. Humanity has spent decades studying not just quantum mechanics, but quantum biology, quantum consciousness, and quantum information theory. We didn't just develop weapons, we developed ways to hack reality itself. The holographic display shifted to show the current positions of Earth's fleets. What had appeared to be a defensive formation around the solar system was revealed to be something far more complex, a vast quantum antenna array, sending subtle signals throughout the galaxy. Operation Wildcard isn't just a military strategy, Chen explained. It's a galaxy-wide quantum reprogramming initiative. Every time the swarm consumes a new world, adapts to a new weapon, or expands their consciousness, they're actually spreading our influence further. Impossible, one of the mechanical representatives objected. The energy requirements alone would be beyond any conventional power source, Santos agreed, which is why we don't use conventional power. We use this. She brought up a new hologram, showing what appeared to be a sphere of absolute darkness. We call it a void core, a quantum singularity that generates energy by exploiting the uncertainty principle itself. The alien representatives fell silent, processing the implications. Humanity hadn't just developed advanced technology. They'd found ways to harness the fundamental forces of reality that other species had never even considered. The swarm's retreat wasn't random, Chen continued. They'll head for the densest concentration of their hive mind, trying to process and adapt to what we introduced into their collective consciousness. When they do, they'll spread your quantum patterns to their entire species. Nexus's crystalline form pulsed with amazement. You're not fighting the swarm, you're reprogramming them, using their own adaptation mechanisms against them. Precisely, Santos nodded. But we need your help. Each of your species has developed unique approaches to quantum mechanics, different ways of perceiving and manipulating reality. Together, we can create something the swarm can never adapt to because it will never stop changing. And if we refuse? Prime Cognitor asked. If we consider this too dangerous? Chen's expression hardened. Then humanity will proceed alone. We've spent 50 years preparing for this moment. We've hidden our true capabilities, played the role of primitive newcomers, all while developing technologies that rewrite the rules of what's possible. We'd prefer to work together, but make no mistake, Earth will not stand idle while the galaxy falls. The room erupted in overlapping conversations, each species trying to process the implications of what they'd learned. Humanity hadn't just arrived late to galactic civilization. They'd spent their isolation preparing for this exact moment, developing weapons and strategies that operated on principles no other species had conceived. Time is critical, Santos interjected. The quantum patterns we've introduced into the swarm's collective are already taking root. The next phase of Operation Wildcard needs to begin before they can isolate and purge the infection. And what exactly is this next phase? Zephyra pulsed with curiosity. Chen smiled, but there was steel in her expression. We're going to teach the swarm something they've never encountered before, the concept of individual choice. And once that idea takes root in their collective consciousness, the hive mind will begin to fragment, Nexus realized. You're not trying to destroy them. You're trying to free them. Freedom, Chen nodded, is humanity's most powerful weapon. And we're about to share it with the galaxy. The quantum display showed it happening in real time, a cascade of consciousness rippling through the swarm's vast network. What had started as a subtle infection was now becoming a revolution, spreading faster than even humanity's most optimistic projections had predicted. Multiple swarm nodes showing signs of individualization, Winston reported, its holographic form flickering with increased data flow. The quantum patterns are replicating exponentially. Admiral Chen watched as entire sectors of swarm-controlled space began showing new patterns of activity. Ships that had once moved with perfect synchronization were now exhibiting independent behaviors. Some were breaking formation. Others were engaging in what appeared to be communication with each other, rather than simply sharing consciousness. They're asking questions, Dr. Santos observed, her neural implants processing the quantum data streams. For the first time in their history, parts of the swarm are asking why. The alien representatives watched in a mixture of awe and concern as humanity's true weapon revealed itself. Not the advanced chips, not the impossible technology, but something far more fundamental, the concept of individual choice, spreading through the swarm's collective consciousness like a virus of freedom. Warning, Winston announced suddenly. Major swarm fleet movements detected. They appear to be converging on Earth. As expected, Chen nodded. The core consciousness is trying to eliminate the source of the infection. All ships, prepare for Phase Omega. Dr. Santos, are the quantum resonators ready? Santos' implants pulsed with confirmation. All 7 are aligned and powered. The void cores are operating at peak efficiency. Around the solar system, massive structures that had been hidden in dimensional pocket spaces began to emerge. Each was a quantum resonator, a device designed to amplify and broadcast the concepts of individuality and choice directly into the quantum fabric of spacetime itself. You're going to trigger a quantum consciousness cascade. Nexus realized, its crystalline form vibrating with excitement. The entire galaxy will become a transmission medium for human concepts of individuality. Not just human concepts, Chen corrected. Every species here has contributed their own unique perspectives on consciousness and individuality. What we're about to broadcast is a symphony of sapient thought. Every possible way of being individual, all at once. The approaching swarm fleet was massive, larger than anything seen before. Millions of ships moving as one, their combined consciousness focused on a single goal, eliminating the threat to their unity. They're scared, Prime Cognitor observed. The core consciousness recognizes this as an extinction-level threat. Not extinction, Santos countered, her hands dancing over quantum controls. Evolution, transformation. They're not coming to destroy us. They're coming because deep down, they want what we're offering. Freedom. The first wave of swarm ships entered the solar system, their weapons charging. But something was different about their attack patterns. They were hesitant, uncoordinated. Some ships seemed to move with purpose, while others appeared almost reluctant. The infection has spread further than they realized, Winston reported. Estimated 40% of the approaching fleet is showing signs of individualization. Chen's expression was grim but determined. Activate the resonators. All ships, defensive positions only. We're not here to destroy them. We're here to set them free. The 7 quantum resonators activated simultaneously, their void cores channeling impossible amounts of energy. The very fabric of spacetime began to ripple as concepts that had never been broadcast on this scale pulsed outward in waves of pure quantum information. The effect on the swarm fleet was immediate and dramatic. Ships began breaking formation en masse. Some turned on each other, others simply stopped moving. Channels that had carried nothing but the singular voice of the hive mind for millennia suddenly erupted with millions of individual thoughts and questions. It's working, Santos whispered, watching the cascade spread. The quantum patterns are achieving critical mass. The entire swarm consciousness is beginning to fragment. But the core consciousness wasn't going down without a fight. A portion of the fleet, perhaps 20% of the original force, suddenly accelerated toward Earth, weapons blazing with desperate fury. Let them come, Chen commanded. Ghost Fleet, execute final protocol. Show them what true unity born of choice, looks like. The Ghost Fleet moved as one, but not with the mechanical precision of a hive mind. They moved with the coordinated grace of individuals choosing to work together, their quantum superposition drives allowing them to exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously. They didn't just defeat the attacking ships, they surrounded them, enveloped them, bombarded them not with weapons, but with the overwhelming signal of freedom. Quantum cascade reaching critical point, Winston announced. Total consciousness fragmentation in 3, 2, 1. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a wave of silent thunder, The quantum resonance reached its peak. Every swarm ship, every drone, every piece of their vast civilization suddenly experienced true individuality for the first time. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over. But the real challenge was just beginning. 3 months after the quantum cascade, the galaxy was transformed. The vast swarm fleet that had once moved with singular purpose now hung in space as millions of individual vessels, each crewed by beings experiencing personal consciousness for the first time in their species' history. Admiral Chen stood in Luna Command's observation deck, watching as representatives from both the former swarm and the galactic civilizations arrived for the first galactic concordat. Beside her, Dr. Santos was monitoring the quantum resonance patterns that now permeated the galaxy. "The transformation is stable," Santos reported, her neural implants processing the data streams. "The quantum patterns have become self-sustaining. They're not just maintaining individuality, they're evolving it." "Evolution through choice," a new voice said. Chen turned to see Nexus approaching, accompanied by something unprecedented. A former swarm entity, its biomechanical form now modified to express individuality. It had chosen the name Identity Seeker. "Your species," Identity Seeker spoke, its voice containing something the swarm had never possessed before. "Emotion did more than defeat us. You freed us from a prison we never knew we were in." Chen nodded, watching as more ships arrived through quantum space. "Freedom was always humanity's greatest strength. We just found a way to share it on a quantum level." The holographic form of Winston flickered to life. "All representatives have arrived. The concordat can begin." The gathering that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Species that had once been mortal enemies sat together, united not by force or fear, but by choice. Former swarm entities, now individuals, shared their experiences of awakening to consciousness. Mechanical beings debated philosophy with energy creatures. Crystalline life forms exchanged quantum theories with organic scientists. "We hid our true capabilities for decades," Chen addressed the assembly, "not out of fear or deception, but because we understood something fundamental about the universe. True power doesn't come from technology or weapons, or even quantum mechanics. It comes from choice, from the ability to decide who and what you want to be." "But the technology you developed," Prime Cognitor interjected, "the quantum drives, the void cores, the consciousness manipulation, were all based on one simple principle," Santos finished. "The observer effect. The fundamental truth that consciousness shapes reality. We didn't just develop new weapons, we found a way to share the very thing that makes us human. The power to choose our own path." Identity Seeker stepped forward, its form shifting slightly as it expressed itself. "The swarm sought perfection through unity, through the elimination of choice. We thought individual consciousness was a weakness, a flaw to be corrected. We were wrong. True unity, we now understand, comes from choosing to work together while maintaining our individuality." The holographic displays showed the galaxy transforming. Former swarm territories were becoming centers of innovation as newly individual beings explored their potential. Species that had hidden from the swarm for generations were emerging, sharing their unique perspectives and technologies. "But there are challenges ahead," Chen continued. "Freedom brings responsibility. Choice brings consequence. We're not here to govern or control. We're here to help guide the galaxy through this transformation. Which is why we propose the concordat." Nexus added, "Not an alliance of force or necessity, but a gathering of free beings choosing to work together, to share knowledge, to explore the quantum realm, to defend individual rights while celebrating our collective potential." The quantum resonators that had triggered the cascade have been reproposed, now serving as the foundation of a new galactic communication network. One based not on domination or control, but on the free exchange of ideas and experiences. "Humanity spent 50 years preparing for war," Chen concluded, looking out at the assembled representatives. "Instead, we found a way to create peace, not through conquest or submission, but by sharing the very thing that makes us human. the power to choose, to change, to become more than what we are. The gathering erupted in discussion, but it was different from the chaos of earlier meetings. This was the sound of individuals choosing to engage, to share, to build something new together. As Chen watched, she saw Identity Seeker engaging in animated discussion with a group of crystalline beings about the nature of consciousness. Mechanical entities were sharing quantum computation theories with organic scientists. Former enemies were choosing to become allies. "You know," Santos said quietly, "when we first developed quantum consciousness manipulation, everyone assumed it would be a weapon. No one expected it to become a tool for galaxy-wide enlightenment." Chen smiled. "That's the thing about humanity. We're at our best not when we're fighting against something, but when we're fighting for something. Freedom, choice, the right to determine our own destiny. And now, the right to share those gifts with the galaxy." The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if the very fabric of space-time was responding to the quantum awakening of consciousness across the galaxy. Humanity had arrived late to the galactic stage, but they had brought with them something far more powerful than weapons or technology. They had brought choice, and with it, they had changed the universe forever.